Good morning, students. Today, in lecture number 16, we are going to discuss Unit 3rd, literary terms. Unit 3rd, literary terms. And the first literary term out of 10, we have 10 literary terms, and out of 10, we have, or you will be asked all the 10 in the upcoming exam, though it may be or it will be offline or online. Dear students, the literary terms satire, we have 10 literary terms and we will go through each and every literary term one by one in each and every lecture. Before that, we have completed Unit 1 and Unit 2. Unit 1 was on William Wordsworth's concept of poetic diction and concept of poetry. And in the Unit 2, we have discussed F.R. Louis' conception of literature and conception of business criticism. And now, in the Unit 3, which is for offline exam, is for 16 marks, and out of 10 literary terms, you will be asked 4, and each is for 4 marks. 4 into 4 is equal to 16. And so, no doubt, if there is online exam, though there will be questions on this Unit 3 as well. So, my dear friends, you might have heard about satire, because when you were in BA second year and when you have studied Rape of the Lock by Alexander Pope, at that time you have very well studied, gone through the literary genre, literary term satire. Most of the literary genres in general and poetry in particular highlights this genre, because when you go through the poetry has many forms, many types, many kinds, and among them one is the satire, because some poems are as satire, elegy, song, ballad, ode, elegy, satire, means the symbols which stand on these poems. So, when we talk about the poem, we will find these are the forms of poetry. And this satire is also one form of poetry, and we find many poems which comes under the category or which represents this genre satire. And this satire is a Latin word. Satire is a Latin word, because as you know that number of words in English literature or British literature or British language are borrowed from French, Italy, Rome, German, and most of the words are the Latin borrowings. And so satire is a Latin word which means satire is a Latin word, and which is satur. This is a Latin word, satur, or satura, which means full, complete, which means full. But the juxtaposition ways rank shifted the meaning of miscellany or meddling, the use of humor, because it talks about, though it is full, but it talks about humor, irony, exaggeration, or we can say satire means to pass the humor, irony of something or someone. Irony, or we can also call it as parody. Or exaggeration of something means exaggeration atishukti. There are some people of some types which makes exaggeration of something to show the public that how they are different, how they are great from others. And so this particular ridicule, humor, exaggeration, irony, parody is used to criticize people's stupidity or vices, are used in poetry to show people's stupidity or vices. Vices, or we can say stupidity means durgun or dosh are very well highlighted by these terms. So satire is a literary weapon is used in the poetry to criticize the people, to ridicule the people, to show the vices of the people, and the very purpose of the satire by showing the humor, exaggeration, vices, stupidity of the people is to correct the vices of these people. And when one makes the correction of these vices, the stupidity, the ridiculousness will definitely make me improve. That is the very reason behind the satire. So satire stands for correction, improvement, and to make one very ideal and so on. So there are the number of examples, number of poetry. In number of poetry, we found this term satire, and some titles of the poems also we found in the very beginning as satire. When you go through John Dryden's poems, we have John Dryden, a well-known restoration poet, very well highlights satire through his poem Macflagno, and second Absolute and Acetape. These particular poems written by John Dryden very well represents the satire means what, and the satirical elements in these poems, because when you go through this we will find that when we find the satire in the poems, we will find that how the satire is used to show the vices of the people, stupidity of the people. When the writer shows it, one definitely laughs. Ridiculous. Mock means thatta, mockery. So Mac means we have son. Mac means son. Flegno means foolish. Because Richard Flegno was considered as one of the foolish poet, and his disciple, his shishya, known as Thomas Shadwell, was the foolish one. So Mac Flegno means Thomas Shadwell was considered as the son of Richard Flegno, a foolish one. So Mac Flegno means son of a foolish Richard Flegno, and his name was Thomas Shadwell. Because so this way the pattern itself satirical, and the same time when you go through the poem Macflagno will found how Thomas Shadwell, the poet, makes the extravagance and foolishness in poetry that John Ryder very well uses explores to the public that how Sandwell and his teacher, Guru, Richard Fleckman, are the worst foolish. And when you go to the poem, the absolute antidote, you will find that this is the written in 1681 poem, which highly represent the restoration features, very well present that how this absolute antidote poem gives the reference of Bible and history, and how this poem is considered as a political satire and also the religious one, because Absalom was the son of King David, but he is considered as a son but a illegal son. Why? In those days, King David has put relationship with many women, and from this relationship with many women, he became the father of many children. But in reality, he has one wife, a queen, from whom he couldn't get a single child. So he was the father of many children, but none was the rightful one. Then this Absalom, his illegal son, from the Jewish background, while King David was from the Catholic, so he dreams to become a king, and his dream, for fulfilling his dream, he goes against his father and loses his life. And so this way, this is a political satire, because Absalom, though he was not a rightful son, illegal son, but dreams to become king. So the human drawbacks are very well exposed by this novel, because Achitopel, his advisor, very well pours a poison in his mind how to become king, and he is how worthy for that post or throne. So this way, Absalom loses his identity, who is he, and struggles against his father and loses his life. So this way, this particular Absalom and Achitopel is not only a political and historical satire, religious satire, but it is very well or much more than this, because it talks about the Tory and Whig parties, it talks about the Jewish and Catholic religions, it talks about the political, historical upliftment of that restoration time, and how the involvement of the kings, instead of doing something worthy, how they failed in each and every level, in each and every decision. That is also very well shown by this. So John Dryden is considered as one of the major satirists, and through these satires he exposes the, we can say, the society and their demerits or drawbacks, which definitely, which is purpose behind this to bring the correction in the society, to improve the masses, to the better citizens. That is the very purpose. Besides that, we have seen that satire is a literary genre. In each and every literary piece in general, and in poetry in particular, this genre term is mostly used by the writers and poets. So it is a literary genre, literary piece, and sometimes performs arts in which vices of the people, as I told you earlier, follies and drawbacks of the people, which abuses, means the poet abused Shivalini through this literary points, and also not only vices, abuses of the people, but also it presents the shortcomings and follies of the people. Follies of the people, in reality, the poet's intention is not only of the individual, but also of the corporations, governments, and also social elements are also become the subject of the satire for the poets. Not only individuals' vices, drawbacks, shortcomings, drawbacks, weaknesses, demerits, but also it also means satire also highlights the government, corporations, and also many sectors drawbacks. And we have seen that satire usually means to be humorous, hence by showing the drawbacks of the people, demerits of the people, shortcomings, follies of the people, and such representation by the writer, poet is in a humorous way, means हंसत खेलत represent करता, and the purpose is of social criticism, means it is the very purpose of satire is to make criticism, is to pass the harsh comment, bitter comment on the vices of these, and the very purpose finally is to bring correction, perfection, and social harmony in each and everything. So, after this achievement after this Macflagno, we have the poem that is Rape of the Law by Alexander Pope, the neoclassical poem or neoclassical poem. Alexander Pope's Rape of the Law, the title itself satire. Alexander Pope's Rape of the Law is also an ideal example of satire, which very well represents the extravagance, follies, drawbacks, shortcomings of the people of the society of neoclassical age. And this particular we will see through Lord Peter, who is the representative of male young generation of that time, and we have Lady Belinda is also the female protagonist or female representative of that age. These two characters, one represent the male young generation of that time, male young aristocratic generation of the time of Alexander Pope, and Belinda represent the female character, female representative of aristocratic class. And these particular characters, through Belinda and through we have Lord Peter, the poet, very well satires, makes a satire on the upper middle class of 18th century people, 18th century people of England, and it exposes, means this satire, Rape of the Law, explore or exposes somewhere on the vanity of young fashionable ladies and gentlemen. Vanity means the very way of their living is not worthy, not useful, not ideals. That vanity means नष्ट होणारी जी विचार आहेत, वागणूक आहे, पद्धती आहेत ते the vanity of the young generation, young fashionable ladies and gentlemen, and the very frivolity of their actions, means how they foolishly act, involved in the incident, in the actions which are not important and good. And Belinda, after losing, means Belinda, who was the representative of this, very well represents her class. So, my dear friends, when you go through this poem, because this is achievement at Spain, this Rape of the Law, these are the longer narratives, long poems. And this poem very well represents these characters and their extravagances, shortcomings, drawbacks, foolishness, weaknesses, exposure, pretension, artificiality. And these are what I said now, according to Aristotle, according to Alexander Pope and many social reformers, social critics, these are not the worthy things in which the young generation, young gentlemen and young gentle ladies involved. Because Belinda, who makes the extravagant of her richness of her costumes, of her dressings, of her, we can say, golden watch, golden earrings, each and everything is according to the critics, according to the writer, rich and poor are not the basic needs which are required for the living and basic needs for the making of ideal man. But instead, without these also, one can live in happily, one can live happily. But these characters like Robert Peter and Belinda are involved in such type of foolish, extravagant businesses because these people like Robert Peter and Belinda are totally engaged in the business of dance culture, ball culture, playing cards, drinking, smoking, and so on. These are the only interests of these people, and in any society, it couldn't be called as the ideals. So, instead choosing worthy business, hard work, continuity of their kind of businesses, these people are only engaged in the and the very drawback of these people to rise late and to sleep also late because in the afternoon they rise from the sleep and in the very midnight around 12, 2 p.m., 2 a.m. they sleep. So this way these people for these extravagances of smoking, drinking, ball culture, dance culture, visiting, meeting at the so and so called places, these are for them the prestigious and pride issues. But according to the writers and critics, social reformers, these are the foolish things in which these people are involved. So, in short, satire is a literary weapon these writers use to show the foolishness of these people, and by the very purpose of such exposure, such representation of foolishness, shortcomings, drawbacks, weaknesses, demerits of these people is to bring out these vices for correction and perfection. So with this brief introduction of the satire, I stop here. Tomorrow we will discuss the literary term symbol. Thank you very much.